Yeah, I mean, just like I said, a whole lot of Bama fans in the family. My brother-in-law played at Bama, so I mean, this is a little competitive rivalry too. I mean, just within the family, we got some Auburn fans in the family, not near as much as Bama, but we got a few Auburn, so we all just been talking. I've been talking to my brother-in-law, so he been talking smack. Just, I mean, as he should though. I mean, he played at Bama, but I mean, it's been good just to see just how much this game brings our family along too, just together. And just, I mean, like it does for a whole lot of families. I mean, this game means everything. So it's cool to just know I'm about to go out there and play in the Iron Bowl. Just after years of growing up and just watching it, I mean, it's just like wow, like this is the week. So it's gonna be here. So I'm excited.
All right, the thoughts of Robbie Ashford as we get close to the Iron Bowl 2022. And joining us now on the Morgan Bradley Alpha Insurance Tiger Line from Hoover, Alabama, or close to Hoover, Alabama, where
Yes,
Robbie
Pelham.
Ashford is from. Pelham,
Pelham.
Alabama. There you go.
Yes.
Scott Griffin is with us. And Scott, great to have you with us. Happy Thanksgiving in Birmingham.
And why did we both not shave for the show here?
I have no
that's
idea.
kind of bad on our part.
You got to grow that facial hair for the game. Don't you let it go?
Can we say we're going hunting after Thanksgiving before the game?
Hey, a lot of talk in the last day or two about Lane Kiffin.
Yeah.
And you've got a source that may have some breaking or updated news. Of course, we're pre-recording the show Thanksgiving week, but
anything can happen, right? So
yeah,
make that disclaimer for sure.
Obviously, give us a little bit about what you're hearing,
though. I've got some good sources that tell me that look, and it's not a big secret because a lot of people are saying it's a done deal anyway with Lane Kiffin, right? That all this stuff that he's saying is not real. I find it odd that these sources say these things, and Kiffin is being so demonstrative, acting like he's not coming. As we talked earlier before we started recording, that he's meeting players saying nothing's imminent, nothing's been done. I'm focused on Mississippi State, the Egg Bowl, obviously, all these things. He had a very strong denial to a media member in Mississippi, telling him he needs to check his sources, basically, denouncing publicly anything about an Auburn deal being done. Yet we continue to hear that's the case. So now, I heard he was offered last night and that he's thinking about it.
Which is Tuesday.
And he would give Auburn a decision Saturday, which you don't want this ruminating, right? I think we're going to know real quickly. So, yeah, right, on Tuesday. So we don't know exactly what's real or not. Others are saying he was offered a long time ago. I don't believe that. Now, do I think he was their target? Obviously, we know he was a target. He wouldn't be offered now.
Right.
So do I think there's conversations going on between Cohen and Mr. Sexton? Absolutely. I think they've got an open line right now.
And the timeline, as we were talking before, makes sense to me because he could tell his team at practice Tuesday, I haven't had any offers. I'm totally focused on the Egg Bowl. And then later that night, he gets an offer, right?
Yeah, and it's not going to matter because that's the team he's leaving.
Yeah, but he doesn't have to address it again with his team.
Right.
Before the game.
And a lot of people are going to do that. And if he takes the Auburn job, it's going to look silly. But do you care if you're about to get $40 or $50 million or whatever it's going to be, and you're going to have a better chance to win?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer, right? We saw Tuberville do it. I don't know if the Ole Miss job is that much less attractive then, but I do know that Auburn is still more attractive than Ole Miss as far as winning and the ability to win and the groundwork going on, right?
Mm-hmm. And Lane has certainly raised the bar a little bit in his time at Ole Miss.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah. And the other thing timeline wise that I see is you mentioned Saturday that he might give an answer. To me, that would make sense too, because he would protect Cadillac and protect the team going into the Iron Bowl so that there's not maybe going to be as much talk.
Yeah, I don't think he would want to do that because I personally think if this all shakes out, I still think Cadillac would be on the staff.
Right.
So you don't want to start with that. I doubt he's had a conversation with him, but I don't think he wants to do anything to diminish what's going to go on in the Iron Bowl because let's be honest, Auburn has played far better football, especially defensively, in the
Mhm.
last 3 games. And ironically, they're doing it with a coordinator, the only one left over from Boise State, but somehow they've cut off a couple of hundred yards per game. And Alabama hasn't been Alabama. So this thing that looked like it might be this huge mismatch before the year is suddenly that gap has narrowed some. And this obviously makes it intriguing. So yes, I don't think Lane Kiffin would want to, do anything to do that, especially if he's taking the job.
Yeah, and the other factor that I pointed to a while back, and I still think it's a factor, is Bruce Pearl, obviously the basketball coach at Auburn, was at Tennessee when Lane Kiffin was at Tennessee.
Right.
And Bruce Pearl has figured out how to navigate Auburn being Auburn. So I think that's a little bit of a factor. And also, you mentioned Cadillac staying on the staff. And that's a great question. Will Cadillac be on the staff? You would think it's a no-brainer. The question is, where will he be maybe, and what will his title be?
Well, and I just still think he'd be running backs, and I'm saying this, and Lane Kiffin's best friend may be the running backs coach at Ole Miss, but I think he would move him. I think Lane's smart enough to realize the scope of the land here, and Cadillac deserves to still have a job. Let's be honest; he's done a great job holding this thing together, being in games. They've actually won one. They made a great comeback against Mississippi State, who's a pretty good team on the road. Had trouble against Western Kentucky, but then right after the half, won it like they were supposed to. So I think Lane would definitely keep Carnell Williams in the same position that he's in. Now, we had talked about off the air, would it be a head coach, associate head coach, whatever. You've got a different opinion. To me, that's just a title. If that gets him more money, but I think Lane can pay him what he wants anyway. I think he's definitely due for probably double whatever he's making. I think he's making 3 something. I think he's going to be over $500,000, regardless whether he has the title or not. And they'll take care of him, and it'll be a smart hire anyway. Regardless of any of this happened, that if Carnell never was the coach the last 3 games, I think it would have been smart for Kiffin to keep him on this staff.
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing's happened in Alabama basketball, right? With Antoine Petway. He stays with every coach. There's that connection that's willing to work with whoever comes in new, but they're an Auburn guy. And I think that's what Cadillac is. And he's still young in his coaching career, as you know. So
yeah, absolutely. Still in his 30s. Well,
yeah.
Scott, you have seen a lot of Alabama this year. You've seen some Auburn as well. And Alabama, as you mentioned, defensively, they've had some vulnerabilities in certain spots this year and penalties as well. It looks like we're going to get maybe a rainy battle on Saturday at Bryant-Denny Stadium. A game
that causes issues, right?
Yeah, a game where Robbie Ashford is going to have to prove himself, right?
Yeah, and Auburn's run the ball a lot more. So messy weather, running the ball more. Okay, that equates to me. They've gotten a new physicality about themselves on the offensive line, and you and I talk all the time. I thought the offensive line was getting better even before Harsin was let go in the running game. So they've gotten better as the year goes. So if it's messy, sure. Now, Alabama has Bryce Young, okay? I mean, he's really good, the Heisman Trophy winner. But does rain affect him? He's not a big guy. He's got decently sized hands, but how does that fit? And Alabama can run the ball too. But, Gibbs has been injured. He's had a bad ankle. They've got depth, but he's the first team guy. So, and they've had offensive line. They've played well at some times and not played well. And you point out a lot of the penalties. It's going to be interesting. I do think the rain helps Auburn just because of that new focus on the running game. And we'll see about Robbie. He's young. He can make a great play and make a bad play, whether it's rain or shine. That's part of being a freshman.
A little talk this week about last year's game during the Auburn press conference and the players. They point back to that a little bit about being unfinished business. Do you think Alabama's totally flushed that game, Bryce Young and company, or is that kind of in the back of their head?
I think Saban does as good a job as anybody of getting people to forget those things and knowing that this is a new team. And I think a lot of teams are starting to do that too, because it really is a new team. Yes, Bryce Young was there and led the drive, and some of the other guys were there, but those wide receivers aren't there that he was throwing to, right? So you know, some of those defensive backs aren't there. So I think that sure, the guys that played will probably have a memory of that, but I do think whichever side it was, whether you felt bad as an Auburn guy or felt great as an Alabama guy, all that goes away once you get hit, game's going and stuff starts happening, right? So,
Yeah.
you know, just a personal opinion.
Yeah, well, you're probably right. We'll see what happens Saturday. Appreciate you joining us, Scott, and
I mean,
enjoy
think
the
about it,
ball.
Doug.
What's
Last
that?
time, I mean, think about this. You just made me think about saying that Mark Ingram fumbles. Alabama's beaten Auburn pretty good with Cam and those guys. Mark Ingram fumbles and it just holds the line, remember, and it goes out of the end zone,
Yeah.
strangely enough.
Right.
It turns
Mm-hmm.
like open and shut case.
Yeah.
You don't, this game, as you know, they can say it's a 20-point spread or it's never more to me than 7-10. I don't care if Auburn's under the Tuberville years and kicking Alabama's rear end or vice versa. It's never more than 8 or 10 at most in this game. I don't care what they say, what's going on, or what you got happening. It's that kind of rivalry. Rarely is it blowouts.
Yeah, usually is. Well, enjoy your Thanksgiving.
Should
dinner,
we shave
Scott.
before Monday?
I'm not going to shave until after the Auburn victory.